Hey there, I'm Ben Schneider and this is Real Beans, where we sip slow, talk deep, and take another look at the films and flavors that linger long after the credits roll. This podcast lives in the space in between the moments that make us pause, feel, remember. So whether it's bold and brooding or smooth and nostalgic, you can always count on one thing. We sip, we watch, we repeat.
It's me, Billy. Don't you tell what we did.
Hi everyone, welcome to Real Beans. Thanks for joining me on my journey with Episode 1, Bitter Notes and Holiday Shadows. Today we'll be intertwining a sustainable blend with one of my favorite horror films. I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Let's get brewing. I've always wanted to do something that combined two of my favorite things, coffee and film. They're my rituals. Whether it's a cup I've brewed or a film that moved me deeply, I find myself wanting to share that experience with others. To say, hey, have you tried this? Have you seen that film? And hope that maybe, just maybe, they feel a little of what I felt. At least that's my goal. In the book Uncommon Grounds by Mark Pendergast, there's an anecdote about how, during the times of war or hardship, coffee sales don't decline. They actually rise. Because coffee, more than caffeine, is comfort. It's routine. It's a signal to your nervous system that something is okay. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do to capture in this podcast. The small rituals that carry us. And the big stories that stay with us. So part of what nudged me into actually starting this podcast were a few voices that kept me company over the years. Horror queers, the evolution of horror, and you must remember this. They're smart, funny, and passionate, and they reminded me that there's so much room for new perspectives in film conversations. Listening to these shows, I found myself thinking, I really want to talk about movies too. Especially the ones best experienced with a great cup of coffee. And a healthy dose of nostalgia. Let's talk about the roasters behind today's brew, counterculture coffee. They're not just a source of high-quality beans, they're also pioneers in transparency, sustainability, and education. Their approach to coffee is thoughtful and intentional, much like the films we're going to dive into. They also offer a wide range of single-origin coffees and blends, and their Big Trouble roast, the one I drank today, is known for being smooth, approachable, and the right kind of cozy. Big Trouble has notes of caramel, nut, and subtle chocolate, much like the best parts of holiday desserts, minus that sugar crash. It's dependable without being boring. Co-founder Brett Smith once said, "The pursuit of a sustainable business means we will always push for more environmentally friendly coffee, less waste, stronger relationships, and longer-term solutions to the challenges we will face. The pursuit of sustainability helps us be a better business today and promises that we will be a better business tomorrow." It's a philosophy that echoes through every cup of Big Trouble, and one that reminds me that craft and care aren't just about the product, they're about the future. I chose counterculture coffee because it is widely available in many grocery stores, making it an accessible and approachable choice for anyone starting their craft coffee journey. Alright, let's get into the film, Black Christmas. It's a Canadian horror film directed by Bob Clark of Porky's and A Christmas Story fame. It follows a group of sorority sisters staying on campus during winter break, as they're stalked by a mysterious, menacing caller. At first, the police don't take the threat seriously, brushing them off as prank calls. But this isn't your typical slasher. Black Christmas is quiet, patient, moody. There are no big exposition dumps, no neat resolutions. The villain, Billy, is terrifying not because of what we know about him, but because of what we don't. He's the noise at the edge of the frame, the breath behind the door, the shadow you can't quite make out, and the ambiguity makes him all the more chilling. The cast is a who's who of fascinating performers. Olivia Hussey, fresh off of her role as Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, Margot Kidder, who would later star as Lois Lane in Superman, horror staple John Saxon, Keir Dullea of 2001: A Space Odyssey fame, and a young Andrea Martin long before her SCTV days. Together, they ground the story in a way that makes the horror feel unsettlingly real, like it could happen just down the street, or even next door. I've always believed that one actor or a moment can elevate an entire film. For Black Christmas, that's Olivia Hussey. Her performance as Jess isn't flashy, but it's grounded, defiant and raw. You feel her resolve. There's a scene where she's on the phone with the police, terrified but in control, and it hits differently each time. But the moment that chills me the most, where the film truly sinks into my bones, is when Jess cries out for her friends, knowing the killer is somewhere in the house. The line, "Please answer me," is so raw and so real, it doesn't feel like acting. It feels like the truth. It's not just fear, it's heartbreak. And in that moment, Olivia delivers one of the most terrifyingly human cries for help I've seen in a horror film.
Phil! Bob! Oh, please answer me! Phil! Bob! Please answer me! Please answer me!
There's also an unforgettable glimpse of the killer's eye behind the door. A single unblinking stare that's more disturbing than any gore. It's the stuff nightmares are made of. It's not what you see, it's what you almost see.
Agnes, it's me, Billy. Agnes, don't you tell what we did, Agnes.
And then there's Barb's death scene. The contrast is brutal. Sweet, innocent carolers singing outside while she's being murdered upstairs. It's like the film is reminding you that horror doesn't wait for silence. It crashes through joy. The scene stayed with me. The visual dissonance, the music, the violence. It's haunting in the quietest, most unexpected way. That isn't to say that there isn't any levity woven into this horror masterpiece. Bob Clark carefully threads in moments of humor with characters like Barb and Mrs. Mack, who, let's be honest, could hide a bottle of booze in just about anything around the sorority house.
Before booze.
It's these glimpses of absurdity that keep the film from becoming pure doom and dread. They give the audience a moment to breathe, to laugh nervously, to reset before the next chill creeps in. Here's what I've learned about sipping and watching. Comfort doesn't cancel out discomfort. Sometimes they hold hands. The cup of Big Trouble was smooth, balanced, easy to sip and sit with. I first brewed it with my Chemex, hoping for that clean, crisp cup everyone raves about. But honestly, it really came alive when I switched to my French press. The body got a little deeper, a little cozier. Like the coffee finally decided to throw on a sweater and stay a while. Meanwhile, the movie was anything but cozy. It was jagged and lingering, like a sharp chill under the door. And somehow that combination, the warm, weighty coffee and the cold, creeping film, created this tension I couldn't stop thinking about. A kind of cozy dread. The kind that makes you grateful for being in the moment, even when it is a little dark, and even when it's a little off-kilter. And something really struck me. My friend Josh, who was watching the film with me, mentioned afterwards that the film had been staying with him. He told me days later that he was still thinking about it, that it had quietly got under his skin, that it stayed with him. It reminded me how films don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper, and those whispers linger. And that concludes this episode. Counterculture Coffee's Big Trouble and Bob Clark's Black Christmas. In the next episode, we're taking a sharp turn into the surreal world of Louis Buñuel, with the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie. It's a film where nothing quite happens, and yet somehow it says everything. We'll pair it with Lavazza's Super Crema, brewed in a mocha pot for that rich, smooth, and slightly indulgent body that feels just a little out of time. Much like the world Buñuel creates. We'll talk about social performance, the illusion of control, and what happens when the dinner you're waiting for never quite arrives. I hope you'll bring your curiosity and maybe a snack. Thank you for spending some time with me here on Real Beans. I hope you felt a cozy mix of comfort and curiosity, and maybe even found a new favorite brew or a film to linger with. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or just share it with somebody who could use a little more coffee or cinema in their life. We've only just begun, and there's so much more brewing. Until next time, sip, watch, repeat.